Welcome to Winning English, helping your English shine through the use of idioms, slang, and cultural references. Today, a look at the influence of Greek and Latin on English. Before I get too far, I want to remind you to please hit that subscribe button below. Look for great content each week. Thanks. In my last episode, I discussed how French has had a big impact on the English language. This time, I'll finish my short series on influences on the English language by talking about Greek and Latin. To start off, let me return to the information in a pie chart from Wikipedia that I featured in the last post. According to these estimates, almost a third of English is actually composed of words that come from Greek and Latin. Just to clarify, Latin was the language of the Roman Empire in what today is the country of Italy, while Greek comes from the area now known as the country of Greece. So many English words are influenced by these two languages that it's hard to pick out just a few examples. Over time, you'll likely get better at spotting them yourself, because these words have shorter word parts that we can identify. If the word parts are in the beginning, they are prefixes. If they are at the end, they are called suffixes. First, let's cover Greek. Do you own a telephone? How about a television? The prefix tele comes from Greek, and it means far away. Phone means voice in Greek. Vision means sight, but it actually comes from Latin. So put all of these together, and telephone means far away voice, and television means far away sight. That makes sense, right? Do you live in a democracy? Have you studied economics? These words are derived from Greek as well. Demos means the common people. The suffix krasi means government. So democracy is government by the common people. Eco comes from the Greek word for home or family unit. And the second half, nomics, has come to mean a field of study. So put together, economics means something like study of how to care for or supply the home, which again makes sense, I think. Let's look at some examples from Latin now. Perhaps you've attended a meeting or two in your career. It's likely that you've had an agenda for that meeting. An agenda is a list of what is to be discussed at that meeting. Agenda comes from Latin, in which it means things to be done. Next, let's turn to the skies. You know about the moon and the sun, of course, but the adjectives for these words are lunar and solar. For example, a lunar lander is a machine that lands on the moon. A solar eclipse is when the sun is blocked by the moon. Both lunar and solar are derived from the Latin words for moon and sun. Beyond these everyday words, both Greek and Latin have had an enormous impact on scientific and medical language. Scientists decided long ago to use words derived from these languages rather than other languages. Here are two examples. Hydro is a word part that means water in Greek, so anytime you see it, you know the word has to do with water or liquids. For example, dehydration. If you suffer from dehydration, you need water. Also, the metric system is based on sticking together Latin and Greek roots. Centa is Latin for 1/100th of something, while deci is Latin for 1/10. Meter comes from the Greek word metron, which meant measure. So putting these together, a centimeter, for example, is 1/100th of a meter. But the impact of Greek and Latin is beyond just everyday and scientific words. There have been cultural influences as well. Ancient Greek culture is a source for many Western myths. Myths are stories about the past that involve gods and heroes, monsters, and adventures. These stories sometimes lead to common words. For example, Hercules was a hero that overcame difficult, dangerous tasks, usually using his immense strength. So nowadays, if someone does that, we can say he or she put in a Herculean effort. That is, the person worked very hard and used all of his or her strength to accomplish the goal. Also, Greek was one of the original languages of the Bible, which, as I explained in a previous post, had an enormous impact on English sayings and idioms. It also brought new words into the language. For example, Christ, as in Jesus Christ, the central religious figure in Christianity. Jesus was called the Anointed One, which meant specially chosen by God. The Greek word for anointed was Christos, which eventually became Christ. And finally, it's very common for groups to create mottos using Latin. Mottos are short phrases that try to capture the purpose or some important characteristic of a group. One example is E pluribus unum, which is the motto of the United States. It means out of many, one. In other words, the U.S. is one country made out of many diverse people. Most universities also have Latin mottos. Thanks for being part of Winning English. Again, make sure to hit that subscribe button below and sign up for the email newsletter at winningenglish.substack.com. The newsletter has a transcript of this video and additional content. This time I have links to more examples of Greek and Latin influences. Plus, I link to a comprehensive article from Vox looking at the various influences on English, complete with pictures. Please follow Winning English on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram as well. Maybe even consider donating to this project through Patreon. I have a link in the description below. Most of all, remember, if you like Winning English, please tell a friend. Talk soon.